I hate to write.
Don't cry, sweetie. It's okay. You're not alone.
Do people really say that?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
right?
do.
This one loves to
Man,
write.
I am not in that camp.
No, but we do hear it
We
a lot.
hear it almost every day, right? And then we have to discern whether it's handwriting or are you talking about composition? And most of the time, it's composition. But the handwriting is an issue as well. But composition, getting your child to write something, seems to be like a mammoth issue, right? It's the impossible dream.
Yeah.
There's a hurdle, right?
Right.
And there's also a natural instinct, and it seems to really show up with the middle schoolers.
Yeah.
That anything that they don't get out of the gate, I hate it. It's hard.
Yeah.
I can't
I don't
do
want to
this.
do this. Yeah.
There's all kinds of reasons
There's
why
an
no.
expectation. So what is it? What is the deal with the writing and the?
There's a lot of skills combined in there. There's a lot of things. There's ideas. There's the handwriting. There's
That's what I love about, is it it's the Susan Weisbauer writing, Complete Writer. She's very intentional in doing that whole, there's two veins within writing. There is the actual content, and then there's the, like, how are we going to write it? You know, like she's very intentional about that the writing process takes two different avenues and that you then have to merge them together.
So you have to have some things to talk about, and just that in itself is a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And then putting all these skills together, to organize it, to put those ideas into a context, to get it out right, to think about what you're saying, and
The grammar, the format, the audience, the
all-
never-ending checklist.
So it's like a mother multitasking is what it is. And so, you know, so we just say, go write an essay, and no wonder they have deer in the headlights and they hate it.
And sometimes that go write an essay thing comes from a parent who's good at writing themselves.
Yeah.
And thinks, well, you just go do it.
Just go do it.
Just go, what, like it's hard?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
And I'm a person who loves to write once I get started, once I have ideas and content and things, then it comes more naturally for me. So we're all different with that. And so how do we help our kids with all of this process?
That feels like the question.
It is
The question.
I would say the
The
question.
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 Shakespeare reference over here.
That's right.
Well, and do you think that's part of why we see a lot of co-ops for composition in middle school and high school? And we see a lot of parents finding a program that has a little video instruction help.
Right.
So you've got this third party.
Or a structure so structured that they just they follow the steps and things. And all of those are good ways to get the writing out of a kid, I think. Right?
That seems to just be hurdle number one, is getting the content out of the kid. And then, you know, kind of teaching and instructing and guiding them. Okay, so now that you've word vomited on the page, can we make this look pretty?
Yeah.
Can we make it, you know, flow how it
someone
should?
else can read it?
Yeah, have the transition sentences in there. Be grammatically correct. You know, but I think that first hurdle though is just getting the content out.
And when I was teaching writing to freshmen,
College
freshmen who, you know, and it was a beginning level class, and that was there were two things I wanted them to consider. Who are you writing to? And then what's the purpose? And every time you change the audience, the purpose would change as well. And so if you can think about those things, why you're doing this, why would this piece of writing be important beyond just mom's assigning it to me? Right.
You know, I always like watching a video and having a takeaway nugget, and I feel like that was one of those nuggets. Who is going to read what you're writing?
Yeah.
Who's your audience? But who's your reader? And how are you considering them
In your writing style.
in your style, in your word choices, in your opening sentence? For goodness sakes, it's like that impacts everything.
Grandma's going to read it differently than little brother's going to read it.
Right.
You know, and so that does impact how you're going to convey the message that you're wanting to convey.
Yeah, but they might both need that message, just they need to hear it in different ways.
Yes.
So it's a very complicated process.
There's a lot of things going on
Yeah.
when you're writing.
Yeah.
And not just for the students, because once parents start seeing their student progress in their writing, there's also this kind of like, oh, now I have to grade that. I have to assess this. I have to do something with my child's content that they're writing to help them progress even further.
And that's touchy, because we've got some parents out there who remember being their kid's age and getting a paperback and it's marked up and you just think, I must just be awful at this.
I meant to bring my red pen too today because
trauma response, the red pen trauma.
I ask you not to do my papers in red pen because of that trigger response.
I think
feels so
the last time I
personal.
forgot and I used red and you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But it does.
Right?
It brings back those.
It does.
Like those memories of getting
So
the
how do you-
bloody
back.
paper.
Yeah.
How does
The
a
bloody
parent?
paper.
Oh, jeez. It's not
That's
war.
what it looked like, you know.
It did look like a bloody mess.
Yes.
I mean, if you, So we're telling parents, be thoughtful in your feedback. And one way you can do that is to use a rubric. It's a communication tool. It tells the kids exactly what you are looking for. Here's what I expect to see, this, and this.
Yeah, because it's such a nebulous thing and it can be very touchy-feely and emotional. And so having those criteria in advance is really helpful for me. What do you want? What are you expecting of me in this? And it also keeps the emotion out of it when you're grading it
Absolutely.
for the kid.
And there are some writing programs out there that already have rubrics for it.
What is a rubric?
But then there are some that don't, or maybe you're wanting to grade something for a history assignment, in writing.
Do you want me to hold one?
Sure, that's the
So
blank
this is
one.
on our website.
Yes, this was another one of those resources we've created of a writing rubric. And so there's two different options on the website. There's the one that has already filled in kind of
Criteria.
suggestions, criteria.
Well, and just in case you're listening, so we've got clearly states purpose, and you rate it from 10 perfect to 1 did not achieve. Paragraph support purpose, usage of transition, strong intro conclusion. There's 10 criteria, 10 points across, so 100 points. That's your percent. You don't have to do any math.
It's nice and tidy. But then, once you as parent start getting more comfortable in this whole grading process, there is a blank one that is offered on the website as well. So you can start setting your own criteria to cater it to like, oh, is this a persuasive essay? Let's kind of cater it to those kind of grading rubrics. But as you were saying, present this to your student as they are writing.
Before.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that they know up front what you are expecting of them.
Clear expectations.
Right.
Especially with the middle school, high schoolers that might be independent.
And it puts a mathematical aspect on this. And I think it makes it seem more scientific. And you know your expectations when you're writing. And you can look at your own, you start to look at your own writing and say, oh,
Well,
mom's gonna grade this
it's
part.
a checklist, and I'm like, check, got it.
Yes.
Grammar, got it.
Yeah.
Audience, got it.
Yeah. Then you can have all kinds of assignments. So if a child gets really interested in something, then they can write. I'd like to write about soldiers right now. That was a big thing in my house. Soldiers throughout history. Okay, let's go for it. Tell me about this significant change in whatever it was. I don't know those terms. So and then they could write on that.
Yeah.
They'd been reading up on it. They're doing research whether they realize it or not. So they have content. And then that would be a perfect
And
way.
structure for the content. Then.
Absolutely.
Those
And
it's
we
a
have
tool to use.
Yeah. So
Not
that's
just for the student,
That's
but
on
for
our
you.
resources page,
Yep.
right, on the website. Okay. And speaking of rubrics,
So sometimes motivation, right?
yeah.
Motivation and a purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose,
Purpose for
audience,
the writing.
a prize doesn't hurt.
bet.
A little
Yeah.
incentive
Incentive,
doesn't
yeah.
hurt.
Yeah.
We're talking about our book contest.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Do you want to tell about the girl? I think now, or you want to save it for later? Keep them in suspense.
You know what? I'm going to bring it up in a second because
Okay.
I want to tell you what this is
Okay.
first. So
The stuff in
every
front of
summer, Rainbow does a book contest. You want to show them the kit?
Yes.
So the deal is you buy this kit from Lulu Jr. Inside this are blank formatted pages and a set of markers and some information, a little packet. And we
is a
are going
guide.
to put all of our contest rules in there as well.
This is what, year
11. 11. We had our 10-year anniversary last year.
Yeah.
So if this is a new thing to you, we sell these for a special price. Now, it's going to be announced on May 5th.
Yep, May 5th.
And on that date, we will announce what the theme is because we've had a different theme
Every
all
year.
11 years, and we got a
It's a
new
secret.
one.
Yes.
Kind of excited about it. And something else you can watch for, I'm going to show you guys some of these books, is a really awesome video that announces.
A lot
There's
of
some
shtick.
there's some
a lot of shtick.
acting ability like Oscar worthy
Oh man.
going on.
Lightning's going to strike.
So everybody who writes their story and enters it, and you're going to be a writer with a deadline.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a kid product. So you get your book back in the mail. This nice hardcover 18-page book. This is a past winner. This was a 12-year-old, you
these are-
guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
My goodness, we do 3 age groups from
Look at this.
7 to 18 years old.
And we end up selling the winner.
Rainbow sells each of these students' books
Yes.
that are past winners.
If a kid's stressed out by a contest, these are sold all the time, year round, so you can make them as Christmas gifts, whatever, right?
You can also buy it at the, with the intention of entering the contest and
then-
maybe miss the
Yeah.
deadline because things came up and still get your
own
book,
book.
send it
Yeah.
in and get your book back.
Yeah.
And the printing is fabulous on these.
So whether you
They're so
enter the
good.
contest or not, your student is
see
going to
that?
get a hardcover book.
About the author.
So, yep.
Everybody gets a book. So you're not sending Rainbow your book. We read a digital version that we get from Lulu Jr., who's our partner in this contest. So you're not mailing us anything. It's super fun. You'll get a thank you in the mail, which is fun on its own, right? Like the kids get mail hardly
Yeah.
at all anymore. So that's what's in the kit are the pages and stuff and the dates. Now, I wanted to share. So I got a gal the other day calling us about something else on our curriculum line. And she said, I just want to say thank you for having this book contest. Her daughter, okay, I think she's like 11 or 12 now.
Okay.
The first year she did it, she didn't manage her time well.
That's a skill. That's a skill to work.
Yeah, I'm still working on that.
Yeah, this isn't that little Scout Derby card that the dads make. Like this is, you don't get to do this for your child. This
No,
is their
right.
product. And we always say, please put the date on the front because we want that little
year.
snapshot. Yeah, the year. Yeah, not the actual.
Yeah,
Right.
a year.
We don't care what day it is, the year. Because this girl in particular, the first year she missed the deadline. And I
Okay.
don't think she finished the kit. They're a pretty inexpensive item, so it probably just languished on the shelf somewhere. The second year, she wrote it, but she didn't put a lot of energy into it.
She got it done.
She got it done
got it
by the
done.
date. She got her book back, and she was kind of like, The next year, she's like, I can do better at this.
That's cool.
Okay, so now she's got,
Yeah.
this is her
third try.
her third try, exactly.
Yeah.
So her second book, she gets the second book back and goes, well, I thought I did pretty good, but I didn't win. We never tell kids how they did
Yeah.
or what we scored them or anything like that.
No.
But then this year, she and her friends were taking an art class to better illustrate. She is on it this year. She is
That's
so
cool.
motivated.
Planning.
She's planning, she's plotting, she's thinking ahead, and
What a motivation.
Yeah.
and all this before we've launched the theme. So
Right.
she's just like preparing. But think of it from a parent's point of view. Those kids are working on vocabulary, spelling. They have to handwrite their
Handwriting.
story. And
It's not
we'll
just
just show
the
you.
illustration, it is
Right.
also the handwriting.
This one was really
And we use the rubric, this rubric, created specifically for that product.
For the
so
book
that
contest.
that's what we use. And
And each kit will get a copy of that rubric.
so these
in
authors
there.
know exactly
Yes.
what we are looking for.
right.
And that's an
Right.
example of what you were talking about. So you can do that with an essay assignment, but you can also try something different and out of the box. Because there is that thing about what kids will produce for you versus what your
Yes.
kids will produce for an outside
Yeah.
person.
So it's almost like, you could say, you're going to write this paper for your grandma or for our next door neighbor, you know, to change up that audience and purpose of the writing assignment.
Like when I made the students write on the top of their paper, who's the audience? And then what's the purpose?
Yeah.
What are you trying to tell them about? We communicate for reasons, right? And every person we talk to or write, there's a reason we're doing that. If it's just, you know, hear us self-talk, that's a purpose, right? But at the same time, that's what communication is. And we're just making this a formal communication, you know, a little bit more formal. I've even suggested to parents before when it was somebody, I'm like, does the child text? You know, okay, can the child text his grandma? A text to his grandma is going to be different than a text to his friend.
Yes.
Right? So start out with that. What would you write in a text? That's manageable for some kids, right? And it's always a stair step, a place to start.
It's practicing.
And I love that this girl didn't stop.
She
know,
was not discouraged.
She kept climbing and
if anything,
trying.
she was encouraged.
She was.
She was
Like,
determined.
oh,
and
I'm going to get this.
Yeah. So let's tell that girl. She's motivating me.
Oh.
Because I have stuff
So
I need
big.
to write. And
Smart lessons.
Yes, a smart lesson. Yeah, but it's a big task, and you have to have it in bite-sized pieces and clear direction to get it done.
Yeah.
You know, to make headway anyway. So that's really encouraging. I like
It
that.
is.
I have another thought that comes up in writing.
Okay.
When we hear parents who say they do a daily journaling or they do some free writing,
Yeah.
what's the value in that? And are you potentially unwittingly allowing bad habits to get established? Writing teacher.
I was taught that way too. With free writing, we take like 10 minutes of the class period and just write. And part of it is like priming the pump. I know that's a really old analogy, but you have to kind of get your juices flowing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would need more practice with real creative writing because I'm used to writing newsletter things, the stuff for our
Descriptions,
catalog,
articles,
just,
yeah.
nonfiction. And so if I were to go the creative route, I would need to have opportunities to write without any judgment, to get some thoughts out. And it just literally kind of primes the pump.
And what you just said, get the thoughts out.
Yeah.
Just get something
Out.
on the piece of paper. Those were my favorite assignments in college.
Yeah.
I remember them vividly. They were 250 words, and
Which is
beginning-
one page.
This is just one
It's
page.
one page.
but every day when we got to class, it was a different prompt. And so it was like, okay, one of them was make the longest sentence possible, but it had to be grammatically correct.
Okay, no.
Another one was like, where is your sanctuary? You know, they were
nice.
just really like thoughtful. They provided, you had to think, especially the longest sentence one, you really had to think about your grammar
That's
concepts
tough.
and things. But the point was just to get content on a piece of paper. And then maybe you come back and revisit it. Maybe you come back and revisit it a couple weeks later and say, okay, we're going to take something that you've already written and we're going to develop it. We're going to look at the proofreading. We're going to work on our grammar skills and things within something that you've already put down on paper.
And sometimes I would have my students go back through this is the old days with pen and paper, you know, but they'd go back through it, like highlight anything that's really cool or you want to remember. And then also they would encourage, this writing technique encourages just keep that pen writing.
Yes.
Don't ever stop. And if you have to do little doodles on the paper, keep it going because the more you stop, the more you stay stopped. And so that was the idea.
An
behind
object
it.
in motion will stay in motion unless something
Hey,
forces
we got
it
some
to stop.
science in here. Okay, I don't know who said that, but yeah. Yeah, and you have a goal right now too for yourself to write so much a day,
I
right?
do. Have I been successful, no.
Okay.
But I should probably put somewhere like that physical goal. Like for
Write
the
it,
past
yeah.
year, I want to get a book published.
Yeah.
But without those physical goals out there for
Yeah.
me, or someone holding me accountable, you know, like a parent can, it's really hard to reach
like a
those
diet.
goals. Yes.
You need someone, coworker saying,
Yes.
we're not eating that chocolate. It looks good, but no, we together are not doing that.
And a lot of researchers talk about the connection between the brain and what you write, and that the act of writing helps us to think more clearly.
Yeah.
And to think about things, and that there's a real connection there. So when we stop, when we don't write, it's closing that door a little bit as well. So it's a great way to get kids to think and to be using their brains and to, you know, how do I know what I think until I see what I say? I think that might be
and as parents and
E.D.
teachers,
Hirsch.
we want to be opening those doors. We want to open every opportunity and every avenue for our kids to learn. And so, like, having them write, whether it's pen and paper or on a keyboard or texting, as you said, some avenue to get ideas, thoughts out of their head and onto
in a
paper.
fairly judgment-free zone to begin with. And I think it's good for your kids to see you write too. When was the last time I did any writing?
Monkey see, monkey do.
Regular stuff, you know.
You know, I just had an idea. Like I could picture, you know, the morning basket trend where everybody's kind of get together and you're eating your cereal and you're
Let's write
you're kind of
for 10
having a little
minutes.
family. If there was a prompt, and let's say you've got kids from 2nd grade to 8th grade or whatever they are, and they're at a table and you throw a prompt out there and they're each writing, then you have this conversation of sharing. Here's a funny prompt. What does the color red sound like? What does the color green sound like?
Yeah.
You know, something a little kid, a big kid, and you're going to get a different product from each level of writer. But what a silly, fun way to kind of get the
Or
juices flowing.
Those Rory story cubes.
Yeah.
Super
You know,
cute where
pick
you
like
roll
3
them.
of them and you just roll them, and you
Yeah.
could get a sailboat, a cat, and a pencil, and then all of your kids are writing a story
Right.
about a sailboat, a cat, and a pencil,
Yeah.
but they're going to be so different.
Oh, and that'd
Right.
be great to share out loud.
And
you
share
know?
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The writing prompts, don't let that stress you out, parents, because
Oh, there's so many resources
There are
out there.
resources out there. We sell like a book of prompts. Things
I like the little flips.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those are good.
I imagine with the little flips, what are they called? Story starters, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
sounds good.
yeah, they're like in a little spiral and you flip them. And I imagine, okay, you take turns. Let's say you've got your little table in the round and it's so-and-so's turn. Whatever we flip, that's what we're all writing about. Everybody agree? Everybody agree? Okay, whatever it is, here we go. And then boom, you've got this anticipation and then the
Yes.
kids are excited.
I think I
go,
need to
"Ooh."
take that home and do it myself.
Works on that
You
creative
are welcome
writing.
to use that.
Thanks a lot. Yeah. But we love to talk about writing. We want to encourage your kids to write.
And there's some amazing resources.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you need a touch up on vocab, you need some handwriting. We're getting more handwriting for kind of those middle grades lately
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, if kids feel like they're not good at writing and
Everything
They're
is so
embarrassed
typey
writing.
now. and
Yeah,
so,
well, they
like,
need
those-
to realize the difference between what their handwriting does not influence what your content is.
what you have to say.
What you have to say is valuable, important, and worth remembering.
Yes.
On that note,
Let's
that's
say
a beautiful
goodbye.
sign off.
Say goodbye, Ruth.
We would love to know like any tips or tricks or products that you've been using with your maybe
Yeah.
reluctant writers.
Yeah.
So like leave those
Share
in the
'em.
comments and
Ooh, I'd love
Yeah.
to see that.
Yeah, be good.
Thanks
All
for
right.
joining us.
Blessings.